Okay, we continue our series on Mexico. Here's my dear friend Carlos. We have direct line with Mexico. And I was just about to ask you, Carlos, about your healthcare system in Mexico. Is it free? And can you get to a doctor quickly and without any problems on the way, like paying?
Well, personally, we have as a professor here in the university, we have a kind of private service, which is pretty good, very, very good. But the social service, or what the social security here in Mexico, is not that. I mean, once you're there, and you are taking good care, but to get a quick appointment and stuff like that, it's not that fast. That's kind of slow. So people that with the means to afford a private service or insurance and stuff like that, they go for that. But nowadays there's a lot of pharmacies, private pharmacies, who have a doctor that they charge you like $1 for a doctor consult.
And it's very cheap, right? $1.
It's very cheap, and you pay the $1 for the consult, and you buy your medicine for $5, and that's it. For something simple, and you have access to those types of doctors for free, which I haven't seen them in the States. For example, you go to stores to pharmacies in like CVS or Walgreens or all those in the States, and if you don't have a recipe or from a real doctor, and you don't get the medicine, and if you go to the real doctor, he'll gonna charge you $100 for it.
At least.
At least, right?
Yeah,
it's very
more
expensive.
Sometimes.
Or more. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And here in Mexico, that's kind of easy, because all this, even though the public system is kind of very bureaucratic, there's also those cheap alternatives which are okay. It's usually you have very young doctors that just got out of school that needed a job, and they'll do it, for very, very inexpensive. And they're real doctors. So you get a free, well, not a free, but a very cheap consultation for if you're sick or something,
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the prescription, because in Russia we also don't have prescriptions. You basically buy medicine, whatever you need.
Well, here in Mexico it used to be that way, but a few years ago they start, especially with stuff like sleeping pills and narcotics, stuff like, or for people that have some types of drugs that are more dangerous or can be mishandled. They start being more restricted. So some of them, like antibiotics and all that psychic drugs, you gotta have a prescription here in Mexico. It used to be that way, that you can get whatever you want on the pharmacy, but not anymore.
Here in United States we have this fear and resentment of immigrants, and of course you know that a lot of your countrymen coming to United States, especially California, I guess, right? Because it's very close. Why do you think so many people drawn to come here?
Well, it used to be that, well, it's still, I mean, here in Mexico, the minimum salary is around probably like $6 to $7 a day. And that's what you make at least or more an hour in America. So some of the people
I think the minimum wage in Florida, $8.47, something like that.
Exactly. That's what you make here in a day. Of course, stuff costs here much more less, but still, some of the people, there's a tradition that they, go off, work in the fields and sacrifice themselves so that they can send money to their families and build a house, support them, and have better income by all these people that cross the river illegally and stuff like that, cross the border. So there have been a lot of migration to the States from Mexico, but now it's much more than Mexico is from other countries, and then come first here to Mexico, and they try to cross the border illegally, and it's a big problem, But it's something that happens everywhere. There's a lot of good things about it, and I think that we are all free, and we should, if you want to go to live in wherever you want, you should do it, So
how can we promote the immigration in more legal ways? Do you think
they have tried for years. They had tried to have them for part-time jobs or just a certain 2-3 months a year for certain seasons, and it has worked that way. This is just recently temporary workers, but the problem is that some of these temporary people, the season ends and they still they like the money they do there, and because the family is happy back down, and they're getting so, and they try to stay illegally. That's the problem sometimes. And for example, for us in our field in music, I think it's more has to do with if you have the offers or the jobs or the opportunities to stay in America as a musician. Well, it's good, For example, for me, it was not like that. The work opportunities for me opened here a long time ago when I got my job in '98, and just after I finished my 2 diplomas in the States, music diploma. So I'm grateful that I can support myself from music, because it's not so easy these days. And I see it that it's going to be harder for the younger generations, especially, for example, my son right now is studying. Right now he's here in his room, but he's officially in school in Toronto. But because of the lockdown, he came back and he's taking his courses online. But with all these orchestras, getting more restricted financially, it's going to be harder in the States. I'm telling him, he should try to maybe do a master's in Europe or stuff like that, because I feel right now it's more the security is better over there, but you never know. Just as a chance, he can always come back here, but especially in America right these days, I think it's harder than it used to be.
It's such a big challenge. I feel like pandemic really hit the hardest, one of the hardest.
Yeah,
musicians, right?
Yeah. I think we musicians, they send us all to the purgatory.
They don't need us anymore, because once the necessity goes, like food and sleep and, earthly things that we rely on,
Yes.
people forget about things that matters in a grand scheme of things.
Yes.
Things that soul needs, right? Things like music and things like art. And very unfortunately, we always push down at the last shelf, right? At the furthest corner of our everyday needs. And this is very unfortunate. And humanity will pay a price at some point if they will keep doing that.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, it's been always like that, right? we always bounce back.
Yeah, recover little by little, but it's gonna take some time. But it will.
I just wanted also to say, our way of immigrating and finding our way in the United States is very honorable, right? We are musicians. We bring in art. We bring in love. We bring peace, and we receive much respect and admiration and praise from our fellow Americans. But I wanted to give a shout out to workers who come in here to support their families and think of the sacrifice.
Yes.
Leaving your family, leaving your kids, leaving your spouse behind, leaving your friends, leaving your language, leaving your food, leaving the comfort of your home, to come to another country to live in really scarce conditions. I'm sure it's not a life of luxury here, right? They're saving as much as they can just to send it back to their families. So not seeing them for years, for months.
Yeah, they sometimes they live at 10 people in a small house, just so that they can all save more and more, and have some decent amount to send back and not spend it all in over there. Of course, there's exceptions. Sometimes once they get there, they find a girlfriend and maybe they don't send the money. Maybe they spend it with them.
They're being seduced by capitalistic values.
Things go wrong.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it happens, but I just want to emphasize the sacrifice they make and the respect they really deserve for that sacrifice. And it's so unfortunate that we don't recognize that. And living 10 people in the room is still better than not having any job in Mexico or in their respective countries.
Well, or sometimes they have jobs in the fields, but sometimes they don't even make money. I mean, some of these people come from the countryside, where they the people that work on agriculture, and sometimes things go wrong with it rains a lot, and everything goes bad. So that year they don't make any money at all or stuff, or sometimes they ask for loans to invest on agriculture and things go wrong, and they even have to pay what they so yeah, it's not easy.
Vicious circle that they cannot get out of.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why they do it, because just to get out of the
the debt
of the boundaries, Yeah.
Oh, Carlos. Well, I'm glad we're talking about it. I think we need to address those issues in more compassionate way. And
yes,
I think we're forgetting that first and foremost, we need to be kind to one another, because at the end, nothing else matters. You can have and how do we call those game consoles? I don't know. You can have a better TV, or you can
commodities, or
right.
Yeah.
You can have a better, new, flatter screen, or you can help someone to put food on their table.
Exactly. Yeah, so it's very hard for those immigrants that, you know, most of them are illegal there, or then after many years they become citizens, sometimes after generations, and we respect them a lot because, you know, there's these people send money down to their families here, and, you know, these families can, you know, sometimes the father doesn't live with them for their whole life, but thanks to the work he did and the money he sent, that person can have a good education and aspire for a better life.
It's unbelievable to me, but it is happening every day in so many families. We can't even recognize how many. The same was with my best friend grandparents' generation. Their granddad left for America and they never seen him again, something like that, or I don't know, maybe once or twice, but throughout the entire time he was sending money, and look, his grandson living in America now, living a dream life, and partially because of his sacrifice. Saying that we don't need flatter and bigger TV screens. I'm talking to myself, of course. Don't think that I'm judging anyone. I'm talking to myself. I want a new TV screen. I want all the goodies that we can easily get here, and it's so easy. And I just want to remind myself, first and foremost, that I only need so little for happiness, actually. And just knowing that you can help someone in need, I think, gives much greater gratification than having a bigger TV screen, don't you think? My TV screen is pretty good already.
I don't have a big screen.
You don't? I'm gonna send you.
But I have a lot of records.
Kidding. You have a lot of records. I can see that.
You know those old LPs? I like collecting them.
Oh, like, is it vinyl?
Yeah, vinyl. Yeah.
Oh, wow. They are pretty pricey.
But I have the older one, not so many reissues.
Uh-huh.
And I like to collect them, and I have a lot of old recordings.
I grew up having vinyl.
Really?
Yes, of course. We had this big machine. I don't know how it's called. We call
turntable?
Turntable, I guess, yes. We call it Russian gramophone. So we would listen to all those recordings. I think our countries are pretty similar. Or at least when I was growing up.
Yeah. I like a lot of Russian string tradition.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I have a lot of some records of the great Russian violinists, like Kogan, Milstein, and all those.
Mm-hmm. Yasa Heifetz, Oistrakh.
Yeah. So I don't like big screens. I don't have game consoles, but I like old records.
You're old school.
I'm old school. I'm an old guy and I'm old school.
And an old soul. Well, Carlos, I love that about
everything old about me.
But young spirit and sense of humor for young spirited boys. So that's what I love. Carlos, it's such a pleasure to talk to you. Well, just before we let our listeners go, I'm sure they're already hungry and late for their appointments. I wanted to ask you, does all of this life of a musician, of a struggling musician, still worth it? What do you think?
Yes, it's worth it because, sometimes I mean, for me as a musician, it's like when I decided that I wanted to do that, it was because I really like to do it. I really enjoyed it, and because I couldn't imagine myself doing a 9-to-5 office job or something like that. or studying for something that I don't really enjoy, and just because I had to make a living out of it. So for me, was kind of the reason that I was like, no, I gotta follow my heart, and if I want to do music, I'll just do music. And even though I never considered myself talented, just somebody that had to work very hard to do it. I think working hard in something that I really want or appreciate or like was worth the work. Because, for example, I know I can think of very talented musicians that have all the talent, and it's easier for them to achieve stuff. But for me, it has been very challenging, But thank God I put a lot of hours of work, and I had the job. And after my job, I went to the States to finish, to do my bachelor and master's thing that we talked before. And I think it's worth it if you really love it. Mm-hmm. If you even if you have the talent, but you really love it, and you are gonna be more attracted to making money, don't go to it, because music is there won't be that. Don't do it because of the money, because it's not gonna be very easy unless you're lucky and you're like a pop singer that's 1 in 1,000 that hits it.
1 in a million.
Or 1 in a million,
Yeah.
But don't do it because of the money, because do it because you love it, and you love to share your what you do, and that's it,
True. I wanted to emphasize your words, such great, beautiful words about working hard for something to achieve it and the gratification you get. Oh my goodness, that's the story of my life. And I would never change it for anything else, because it gives you such a power. It gives you such something to hold on to in this chaos of life, right?
Yeah, exactly.
This routine of practicing, of knowing that you achieving something, that you're doing something that you're really passionate about, and putting in those hours. It's just base. It's just your ground that you walk on, something to really hold on to in tribulations. And this is one of the best part of our profession. And I'm sure any profession that provides this gratification of really working hard for it and enjoying it in the process. Carlos, I cannot tell you how happy I am to see you. Please, you always have a friend in me, and I can't wait for pandemic to be over, for us to get together either on the land of the dreams in United States or in the land of music and food and relaxation in Mexico. Wishing you all happiness in the world. Please hug your 2 sons and your beautiful wife for me, and hopefully this episode will get a lot of likes and subscription from our listeners.
Yes.